Welcome everyone to another episode of Around the Block Talk. Today we have with us Mr. Kapil Dhiman. He is the Web3 Business Lead at PWC, an industry veteran who spent several years in consulting. So very happy to have you here with us today. I'll hand it over to you. Thank you.
Thanks, Prateek. Thanks for the kind introduction. Pleasure to be here.
Happy to host you, Kapil. And so the topic for today's discussion would be the Web3 industry. And as we all know, it's gaining quite a lot of traction in the past couple of years. So we can start with the topic, Kapil, and let's see how the discussion goes.
Right. No, that's right, Prateek. Like Web3 has really become the talk of the town these days. And, the credit goes to the way the businesses were conducted in the Web2 world, let's say, right? So when was the need of Web3 felt? Let's call it that way. Let's raise that as the first question. And that is where like the likes of Google, Facebook, Amazon, and all those, right? A concern was raised that a lot of centralization is happening. Like they are like top 5, 6 software companies, let's say. They control the data, they control the entire market. We had so many cases where many apps were blocked by, let's say, the Play Store or the App Store. These are just very small examples, but the whole dynamics of this was that there is a lot of centralization. Like, we don't control, like we don't have any control on our own data. We don't have the freedom. When I say we, I'm talking from the developer's point of view right now. Then I'll come to the consumer point as well. We don't have the freedom of what do we want to develop, where do we want to host, what are the charges, like, where is our entire data going? Like at the end of the day, like Amazon can wake up and say, hey, our server is not working, you're down. Or this is what we are doing with your data, A, B, C, D, right? So there was a lot of centralization from that perspective, and that is where the whole need of Web3 started to emerge. Of course, it all became very famous, and when the whole blockchain angle came out, when Bitcoin came out, right? But the business utility started coming with this need. The P2P angle was, of course, there, but the business need, where we are seeing a lot of smart contracts, many blockchains now coming into picture, the likes of Oasis Foundation, LF0, and I'll be happy to talk about those. They are trying to solve all these problems that I talked about. Right? So now we are not in a world of just a P2P like transfer of currency. Of course, like Bitcoin has become the grandfather of this whole thing, but we are seeing a lot of business utility, right? And that business utility is coming out of the problem statement that I just described. Now we are seeing, like decentralization. This word has become again very famous because again it has to be like it has become an answer to the problem that I stated. Now like we say that you have control over your data. Like no one entity is holding control over it. It's on a blockchain. It's run by smart contracts. So that's the beauty of it, right? And we can dive in further, as you like it. So that's, I would say, like, we are currently like literally, I personally believe it, and I'm very bullish on this whole industry. We are currently experiencing a revolution. Technological revolution, and there was a recent report by A16Z which said that where we were in the Web2 internet revolution in the 1995, that's where we are right now in the Web3 revolution. So imagine like you're in the 95 of Web2. So we are early, but this is here to stay. Like this is going to be the future, right? Like Web2 became really famous. Let's say when Facebook became famous, very simply, that's when it became commercial. Right now, that there's something which is going to come which will make Web3 like a household talk. Right now, it's new, of course, but it is here to stay. It is the future. That's a fact.
Indeed. So I have two questions over here. So as you mentioned, the first one, that it is empowering decentralization. So with decentralization, we would see the likes of Google or Facebook, they would lose their power to a certain extent. So how do you think these companies are going to respond? The incumbents in Web2, are they going to fight back or are they going to embrace it?
Of course, there's going to be a fight back. And again, like, don't quote me, this is my individual opinion, okay? Let's take a case study. there is this blockchain, Internet Computer, ICP. Not a lot of people are aware of it, but it is one of the biggest team out there in the whole Web3 space. They are working with a team of like 200 cryptographers based out of Switzerland, building since I think a couple of years now. Insanely cool team, building something really, really great. When they launched, okay, when the coin was launched, it launched at around $500 or $600, if I'm not wrong. Currently, they are trading at $8. That's the amount of crash that that has come, right? Now, what is the reason of it? There are many theories behind that. Okay, nobody can kind of conclude what was the actual reason, but there are many theories behind it. The team is amazing. The product they are building is really good. They are fast. They are very, very, very cheap. They have come up with a concept of reverse gas fee, that the consumers don't have to pay the gas fee at the end of the day. The developers kind of take care of it in the product they're making. Okay, so completely new. Okay, but still the crash happened. Why? The two theories which are out there. Okay, one is of course the VCs kind of pulled out the money when they got the whole jump because they launched at a very high price. The second theory is that the incumbents, the OGs which are already operating, the likes of Facebook and Google, they had some role to play to kind of just like do like shorting it out or spreading whatever or anything, So some role, that's the theory again, right? So why did I pick up this example? Of course, they are not going to be very happy about it, right? Because like they are kind of looking at losing the dominance that they kind of hold right now, right? So they are not going to be happy about it for sure, but they will have to accept it at the end of the day because the consumers need it, right? My sense is, because these are very smart businesses, my sense is they would find a way out. Like they will kind of incorporate change in the way they operate now. Like the business models will change, the operations will change, the way they are collecting and using data, all that will change. That's the way at least I am seeing it, because you can really do this much to stop something from happening. Now the entire industry is operating in this way, right? Like you're seeing a lot of people, a lot of organizations, a lot of individuals adopting this technology now, right? So it is here to stay. Now, how much can it actually kind of prevent the growth is something for us to watch. But yes, there are going to be some friction for sure. You can't prevent it, right?
Right, indeed. So also these Web2 giants today, they also broke some monopolies in their time. So probably they're aware that it's not wise to simply fight back and embrace it to some extent. So
Right.
also, now we're seeing that Instagram, they are incorporating NFTs on their own platform. So
Absolutely.
some level of adoption is what we're starting to see, and
It's going to come surely.
definitely. So what? So one big challenge for Web3 today is its mass adoption, and within that, the challenge is that people don't know how to actually use these things. People don't know what these things are, what digital assets are. So now Instagram, particularly an application like Instagram, which has over 2 billion accounts with them, they incorporating NFTs in their platform. So what do you think this would mean for the adoption of this technology?
Of course, it's gonna really play a big role in the adoption, right? That like Twitter did it, right? Twitter also supports NFT. Like you can put up a DP of your NFT and all. That says a lot of these companies adopting what consumers want. That's the point I was trying to make, right? That they will have to change, even though like the likes of Twitter, Instagram, these are the Web2 giants, right? Like that's where the question started, like how they are going to react, right? Of course, initially they would have there was friction, right? But now they need it's imperative. The entire Web3 community is building on Twitter, right? I am all day on Twitter whenever there is a project or something that I have to kind of connect with people. It is happening on Twitter, right? But now Twitter itself, if does not accept Web3, what are they looking at? There's going to be another Twitter that they are themselves giving a birth to another Twitter, because people want it, people are going to do it, right? So now this acceptance, this reflection of like accepting NFTs on Instagram and Twitter is just the beginning. Okay, of course it's gonna really motivate people to kind of like accept it as normal, And when I say people, I'm referring to people outside the Web3 community right now, like people who are in the Web3 community, who are investing in NFTs, who are investing in cryptos, who are working with blockchain projects, etc. They know this is there. But other people, like you mentioned, for a lot of people, this is Greek and Latin, right? How do I operate a platform? How do I even buy an NFT? What does NFT mean? Right, you have to really do a lot of research. You have to understand the project, and after that, if you relate to it, if there is potential, that's when you buy an NFT. All of that requires investing time. All of that requires understanding the nuances, right? So, and that is what again is giving birth to more businesses in Web3. How do you simplify all of it, right? Initially, when some platforms launched, they were complicated. You had to do like 10 clicks to kind of buy one crypto. I remember back in like a couple of years back when we used to trade cryptos, everything was in the pair of Bitcoin. First, you had to buy Bitcoin, then swap it for any other coin that you wanted to buy. Right? That's how the whole thing started. Today, you have multiple platforms where you can trade. It's really simple. There's swapping happening. There are other pairs which are happening. Things are simplifying, right? So the more the adoption increases, the more will be a need of simplifying things. More businesses come into place, and like that will kind of bridge the gap. That will kind of plug the gap, right? So it's definitely going to be a boom that like goes without saying. Like I said, I'm bullish.
Right, indeed. So there's a cycle that will eventually set up that would
Absolutely.
empower both the user and the new upcoming business.
Absolutely. I can take one more example about this adoption in the cycle, right? When the NFTs became famous, okay, like today, which is the most famous or the most expensive, one of the most expensive NFTs, you will say Board of the Ape Yacht Club on Ethereum, right? It's like it's selling for millions of dollars, right? When it launched, what was the utility? It was supposed to be like there was no great utility to it when it was launched. Like, you know, differently looking monkeys, apes are there and they live in a hut in a village or something. That was the backdrop story, right? That's how they launched. People bought it for the fun of it. Like, I'm holding a digital picture, right? Then they created more story behind it. They developed more project behind it. Then it became famous, etc., etc., etc. Like now it's selling for millions of dollars, right? That's how NFTs like became mainstream. People started knowing, okay, there is something, you know. But what is the utility of an NFT? There are like three aspects of an NFT. One is this: you are just buying a digital art for fun. You are holding it. Demand supply thing happens. Second is the real utility in the digital world, like say music NFTs, right? You're buying those. An artist moving digital, a digital artist selling it, his or her art digitally, right? That's a second utility. Third is like a digital authentication of something physical underlying it, right? So you should check out this Origin Foundation. It's building on the ICP blockchain. They are doing this actually, Ram. They are in works. They just launched their token today on Sonic. That is what they are doing. Like if you hold a luxury timepiece, they will authenticate it digitally, put it on a blockchain. Like you hold that, so nobody can kind of copy it today. Like all those first copy issues happens, right? So you will know like this is the authenticated piece. Similar thing will happen for art. Let's say an MF Hussein you buy, right? So now this phase is coming where you are getting a digital authentication of an underlying luxury products as well, put on a blockchain that you can track. This is going to become mainstream now, right? So NFTs in itself is also evolving. Same is the case with crypto. Like this bear market is happening. What are all the experts saying that this is good? Why? Because all the fake projects are not going to be like going down the drain, right? So you get to know what is real, what is not real. But of course, like you have to be very smart about it and everything. A lot of study, a lot of people making money, a lot of people are losing money. But you have to, that's when the whole thing about doing your research and getting into the depth of it come into picture before making any investment. So what I'm trying to say with these two examples is a lot of maturity is going to come, is already coming. And more people coming into the into the Web3 ecosystem will drive this further, right? When more people come, businesses become more cautious. Now, like 1 year back, why did Instagram not come up with NFT? That Web2 dominance fear, right? Now, why did they come? They see if they don't do it, somebody else will do it, for sure. Why did they have to do it perfectly? So that because now people want things perfect. People's expectations have increased. Now, I would not buy a crypto only if I get it in a BTC pair. Right now, I expect like I can buy it with Tether, I can buy it with let's say USD, whatever. Like many pairs have there. My expectations are increasing. That's the way at least I see it going. That more people will come in the ecosystem, more things will be simplified, and more it will become mainstream.
Right. That's very true. So I believe we are at a point where we have the technology,
Yes.
and now on top of it, we are going to see product development. We're going to see
Yes.
Web3 product. That is
Yes.
something which is yet to come, and that would eventually, because no one would have imagined that internet would look like the way it does today. And similarly, we are yet to see what the Web3 products and Web3 space would actually look like from a user
Yes.
perspective.
Yes, yes. Take another example. Okay, there is this blockchain Oasis Foundation. Okay, like whoever is watching should look them up. What are they doing? Like they are bringing two angles to a blockchain. Now today, what is a blockchain? Transactions are put in a block. You can trace the whole entire history. Very simply put, right? The question which was raised is there's no privacy. Like everybody can see the whole transaction trail. Okay, can we bring some amount of privacy? Of course, the security should be there. Can we bring some amount of privacy in it, right? So that people are more comfortable. Like maybe I won't like that I bought a house and it is there. Everybody can watch it, see it. Like in the entire world can see Kapil bought a house, right? Maybe I don't like it. So can I bring some element of privacy? Second is this data aspect that we spoke about, right? The users not being the owners of their own data in the Web2 world. We heard a lot that the Web3 is going to solve that problem. It's going to be decentralized. Users are going to be owners of that. That raised the question: what are we going to do if we become the owners of our data? Right? I'm using it. I'm surfing the web. I'm giving out a lot of data. I'm leaving a lot of digital footprints. I know that you're not going to use it without my permission, but what am I getting out of it? Like, is there a benefit that I can reap out of it? Right? That's where the likes of Oasis Foundation came in. They are building a blockchain which helps you tokenize your data. Right? Now you can like kind of be remunerated for the decision you take on how your data should be utilized. That's something really cool, right? Now that brings in the power in the that actually gives the power in the hand of the consumer. Just because earlier I got to know that Facebook and Google is going to use my data for advertisement. What did I do about it? Did my behavior change? Not really. Some people got really cautious, but otherwise that didn't really stop my surfing and everything that I was doing, right? I kept on blaming Amazon, Facebook, and Google, like you're using my data, you're advertising, you're making my money out of it. But I kept on using the platforms nevertheless, right? Nothing changed. Nothing will change because people need to use the internet. They will keep doing. What is needed is when is the data I'm generating, can I use it for my own benefit? That's the question. That's what the likes of Oasis Foundation is solving. There is another browser, Brave browser, right? That kind of helps doing in the same thing. The more you serve, the more you get tokenized. You can see, like you can go ad less. If you're watching ads, that means you're rewarding the content creators, etc., etc. So this is really becoming a community-driven internet. Let's call it that way, right? Now this is known as giving the power in the hands of consumers. This was not possible in the Web 2 world. This is happening in the Web 3 world because it is decentralized, because it is running on a blockchain, because it is run by smart contracts. There's no intermediary in between. And the benefits is reaped by everybody in the ecosystem.
Indeed. So now you mentioned the aspect of data ownership. So in Web 2, some of the biggest revenue model is advertising, which is
Correct.
based on the data collected by the channel. So in the newer Web3 concept, you would own your data and you could probably earn from those advertisements and you can monetize your data. So that kind of topples the entire revenue model on its head. And it's very different, it would be very different in Web3. So, what is your comment on that? Because the revenue model which drives Web3, that is going to change drastically. And how do you see that shaping?
See, this revenue model in the Web3 world, from the data, this is for the benefit of the consumer. Okay, this has started developing now. For it to become mainstream, for it to become a norm, we are like I think a couple of years behind at least. It's gonna take more couple of years for it to become a norm, for people to even understand it, for people to really start using it. Let's say that, right? Like I did this. This is my data. How do I use it? It's gonna take a few years to kind of for it to become a norm, right? It's happening in some pockets right now. Slowly, it's going to start building up. But like this is going to be a norm, but it's going to take a couple of years. Now to the question of how Web 2 is going to evolve because of that, if I understood your question correct, again, like I said, we are talking about a couple of years down the line now. By then, these businesses are also going to evolve. right? They are also going to find different ways of operating. They are also going to kind of like reinvent themselves of how to actually now they redefine their revenue model, right? Why did Facebook enter into the whole metaverse thing? Why is Facebook looking at launching their own digital currency? I don't know where they are right now on that, but whatever, right? Every business is kind of looking at some or the other way connecting themselves with the Web3 world. In what way they do it, how much they do it, how do they redevelop their whole revenue model to kind of make profit out of it is something that we still have to watch. We are not in a position to kind of really comment on that, but of course it's going to change. Everything is going to change. If they don't change, the businesses who don't change will be out of the business for sure. For sure. Like we are seeing social media coming on blockchains now, like District and not District, sorry, Discover is the social media on one of the blockchains. So there are things which are happening, right? So when people, if I get to know that there is a social media on a blockchain where my data is going to be my own data, and whatever time I spend, I can kind of monetize it. Won't I want to use that social media? Right? Of course, I will use it only after I see a lot of people coming in there, because you use social media to connect with people. If only 10,000 people are using a social media platform, your friends are not there, right? So what are you going to do there, right? But again, like I'm saying, imagine 5 years down the line. Today we are starting this journey, right? Today we are entering this new social media on a blockchain, let's call it that, right? 5 years down the line, where are we going to be? What if 5 years down the line, this becomes the norm? The more the awareness spreads, the more people get like really start understanding the importance of all these things, the more people will shift this side, right? They would also want to be a part of it. Why not? And like I'm sure like what we are talking, like the likes of Google, Facebook, they have already thought of it. They are definitely doing something in that direction, right? We are talking about it today. They are already started actioning it out for sure. Like that is why they are like really the kings of all these the Web2 ecosystem, right? Because they can see ahead. So they're definitely doing something, and of course their models are also going to change. I hope it changes. I think they'll have to change. Goes without saying.
Indeed. So also, as you mentioned, we are we are where internet was in '95, and it took 27 years to actually get internet and Facebook in the hands of like say the rural population, or the kind of penetration that it has today. But then the challenge was actually a hardware infrastructure. But for Web3, that has already been laid out, right? So how faster do you think the adoption of Web3 could be compared to that?
Much faster, much faster. We are already seeing, right? So there's a pro, there's always a pro and a con in every situation. This bear market, this whole crash which has happened, what happened to Luna and Terra, there was definitely a con. A lot of people lost a lot of money, but at the same time, the bright side was, completely setting the loss aside, okay, was that the awareness, whether the general public which was not aware of blockchain, either they got really scared that I'm not going to enter crypto, or they started studying about crypto, but they heard about it. They got to know there's something known as blockchain. There was something as Terra. What happened? What is stable coin? Why did the DPEG happen? People have started asking questions to each other, right? The awareness started. Of course, so whether there is a huge boom or there is a huge crash, it really raises alarms, right? And what does that alarm do? It awares people, right? Now I know in my social circle people who were never interested in Web3, who were like far away, like we are not going to do cryptos, we are good in shares and mutual fund. Suddenly they are like reading about, oh, dude, what happened? What happened to Terra? What happened to Stable? Okay, whether they have a completely pessimistic view, or they have, okay, let's understand this view. Okay, but they are now talking about it, right? People know about it. I'm sure the amount of people who knew about Web3, crypto, blockchain, etc., 3 months back, and the amount of people know today, like there will be a huge gap. Like the awareness has multiplied for sure, right? What does it say? Why did I take this example? The awareness and the adoptability is going to be much faster in the Web3 world. The reason is twofold. One, these kind of events, this keep happening. The crypto is a very volatile market, as we say it, right? So some of the other event happened, it raises alarm, people start doing about it, start studying about it. Second, businesses are using blockchain technology. right? For whether supply chain management or whatever, they see the benefit of blockchain technology. So now enterprises are accepting, like adopting it. They may be saying that we are away from crypto NFT, but we are using just the underlying technology of it, which is blockchain. Fair enough. You are in the ecosystem now, right? More or less, every blockchain will have a native coin, native currency, right? Like Polygon is being used by many enterprises. At least like Instagram is one example. There are one or two other enterprises that I know of. I can't name them, but they are using Polygon. Polygon's blockchain to kind of drive their business. Polygon has a native currency of crypto, right? So whether this way or that way, businesses and individuals are coming in the ecosystem. They're getting aware of it. In '95, we didn't have anything, right? The usability of even internet was like so expensive, was not available to everybody. Today we have much faster internet penetration, right? Today we have a lot of means to kind of understand things. We are already using a lagged behind version of Web3, right? So the adoptability is going to be much faster for sure. Like it's not going to take as long as Web2 took to become mainstream. My sense is in the next 5 to 6 years, it's going to become mainstream. 5 years is max when I see that. Like I think everybody in the ecosystem would be aware whether they want to take part in it or not, but it's going to become mainstream.
Indeed. Indeed. So now this particularly Web3, it's a very global movement.
Yeah.
We are seeing things happening in the remotest of locations, not the best markets. They are coming up with some very unique solutions using Web3. So what does this actually mean for emerging economies around the world? For example, India, and what opportunities does Web3 have for emerging economies?
Oh, quite a lot. Let's take an example of DeFi, right? A decentralized finance. What problem does it plan to solve? Banking the unbanked. I'm going really macro here, right? Let's take an example. If today, okay, which is one of the most successful government schemes when it came to transferring money, Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana, like Aadhaar card and phone number. If you have, the government directly transferred some money to the users, right? That was one of the most successful schemes run by the government to kind of give out the benefit to the unbanked. Let's say they opened a lot of bank accounts. You have a bank account, you have an Aadhaar card, you have a phone number, you got the money, right? Now this is one. There also we saw some amount of leakages, but again it was one of the most successful ones. But some amount of leakages were again there. Today, if anybody wants to transfer any money, let's say if there is a transaction which has to happen, you are sitting in India and you want to transfer some money outside India, what is the channel you'll have to adopt? First you'll have to like kind of do the whole currency exchange and all that. There's some fee that you will pay there. Sometimes money gets stuck. There's a delay, like 2-3 days you will take to kind of get the money, right? All these issues are there. Or let's take another example. The third one being, if you have to borrow some amount of money, okay, what all would you be required to kind of have as a collateral? And how is somebody who does not have a bank account, let's say there is some documentation issue which is there, they don't have a bank account, how are they going to borrow the money, right? DeFi is planning to solve all these problems at the most micro level, as well as at a commercial level as well. How? The only thing you need is internet, right? If you have internet, if you have the funds, just buy the money. Wherever you have to transfer across the globe, you don't have to depend on a bank. It is immediate. In 5 seconds, your money is transferred. Okay, you travel wherever you travel. Like if today I hold a Tether USDT, right, in India, I can go to like any part of the world, and like that is there. Like I don't have to switch bank accounts. I don't need a different debit card or a credit card. I can transact with that. I can convert and use that money there, right? We saw news that in New York, the Gucci store is accepting Dogecoin and Shiba Inu. I think Shiba Inu, if I'm not wrong, but Doge for sure for shopping. What does that mean? Like today, if I hold Doge in India, I can go to the New York and buy a Gucci there, right? Now the borrowing part, like talking about the most micro level. If you hold any crypto, go to a DeFi exchange, the likes of Aave, put a collateral, use your crypto as a collateral, and you can borrow money. Right? It's that simple. What will somebody have to do, like in India today, in a village, let's say, to borrow that money? How many like how many times will you have to go to the bank, how many papers will you have to show, right? That kind of says something about it, right? And I'm right. I know I'm talking maybe a little far from reality, because let's say the tier 3 villages and etc. How, because if they don't have good internet connectivity, how are they going to access this thing, right? That is the whole point. That possibility is there. What I spoke about is the possibility. How do you really make it possible? Like, so the focus should be kind of focusing on like providing the infrastructure. With providing the infrastructure, you are solving so many problems. I'm talking like this is like in the tier 3 villages or something. At a commercial level, right? The DeFi is like really amazing, right? You buy one crypto, stake it, borrow money, lend money, whatever. Like it's borderless, like and across the globe, right? Today I am really like talking to, working with people sitting in like any other part of the world, transferring money, staking my money, lending, borrowing, everything can happen, right? So that speaks about the potential of it.
Indeed, indeed. So in terms of infrastructure, there's a very good project by a company. So they are developing SIM cards which are capable of acting as wallets and then interacting with the blockchain over an SMS kind of an infrastructure. They don't even need internet or a smartphone.
Awesome. Awesome. I was not aware of this. See, this very thing, doesn't it solve like the tier 3 problem that I stated? Right? I was not aware. It's beautiful, right? This is remarkable. Now you have provided the infrastructure. Now, like you are really giving the power in the hands of people who don't even have a bank account, right? Opening bank account for people in India was like an ocean of a task when the government did the whole Jan Dhan Yojana, right? And it was like celebrated that we opened so many bank accounts. Of course, it is needed. Everybody should have a bank account, right? But if that was a task, and that is being solved by this thing that you just spoke about, just providing a SIM card to somebody, you don't even need an internet. If that is possible, isn't this just amazing? Doesn't it speak for the potential of itself?
Indeed, indeed. So, as per some sources, as per some data, almost 50 to 60, even more than that, world is bankless today. And
Correct.
and one promise that crypto definitely holds is, banking with people. So,
Absolutely.
what do you think is the challenge in the current financial ecosystem? So, is it by design that a population is kept outside of it, or is it because of the technology limitation? Why are these people not banked today?
Uh, I would say this is the whole banking system, right? It's by design, not by a technological challenge. And the reason I say that is, if there is a technological challenge, that could be solved, right? It's not that it is not. We are talking about the whole revolution piece. We are talking about creation of Web3 and everything. This is all new technology, right? Could it be possible that this is a complicated technology that we're building, right? So if we can build complicated technology, can't we make a simple technology accessible? Yes, we can, right? So that's my individual view. I don't see that really as a problem. That is solvable. Of course, that problem is there, but that is solvable. But the design of it, the way the entire financial infrastructure is set up, everything is run through banks. Everything is at the discretion of banks. Like, can you get money? The bank will decide. Okay, how much money will you get? The bank will decide. Can you open a bank account? The bank will decide. Okay, you need ABCD documentation to open a bank account. If you don't have this bank account, you will not get now. You will not. So if you don't have these documents, you will not have a bank account. You will not get any financial benefit. Why so many things we see in movies, right? If a farmer wants to get a loan, there is thousands of things that he has to do, right? Now, this is by design, the way our system is set up, right? We really have to rely a lot on the system, right? That is the problem. Of course, the system has to be there. Of course, the government interference has to be there, but that should be to regulate things, right? Not to become an interference. Okay, bring in regulations. I'm in like complete support of having regulations in the whole Web3 ecosystem, whether it is cryptos, whether it is NFT, whatever, right? Okay, like it's huge. Regulation should be there, but at the same time, there should be seamlessness also. Like let people take a call also. Where do I want to keep my money? How do I want to keep my money? Today, if I want to withdraw my provident fund, Okay, there are so many. It's a task for me. Like I have to like for what reason am I withdrawing? Why am I doing it? It's my money. It's my money, right? I should be able to withdraw it whenever I want, how much ever I want. It takes me at least 5 to 10 days sometimes to get any money out of my PF, Provident Fund. Why? It's my money, and I have to justify reasons. Like if it is for let's say illness, you'll get this much percentage. If it is for this reason, you'll get this much percentage. Why? Like it really it really irritates me. Like, this is my money, it is coming out of my salary, I'm paying a lot of tax to the government to make my life easier, right? But the system is designed in a way that it becomes an interference. I don't want interference. I'm happy paying my taxes, right? But I pay my tax to make my life easier. Don't bring interferences. So the system is designed in a way that it sometimes become interference instead of being a facilitator. What the DeFi world tries to do is remove those interferences. You are the owner. This is your money. Do whatever you want with it, right? Why is a regulation needed? Because somebody may say, right, at one place he's talking about the whole independence in the hands of the consumer, and then he's asking for regulations as well. Why are regulations needed? So that there are no likes of, let's say, the Ponzi scheme, right? There should be some regulations for the businesses operating in this space to make sure that there is no gap. Okay, and they are operating under the, let's say, the protocols or whatever, as you want to define it at the end of the day. But it has to be free flowing. It can't be an interference. This PF example, it really blows me off. Like, lately I've tried to pull out some money. I wanted to just invest that money somewhere else. Okay, and it's been like, it's really taking a task. Why? It's my money. Right? Let me decide what I want to do with it, and whenever I want to withdraw it. Why would you take 10 days to give me my money that I have deposited? Like last week, I put in a request to withdraw some money from my PF, yet it has not come. Isn't that alarming? Isn't that really a question? Why should it take me to get my money so long? Right? If it was, let's say now, again an example, if it was put in a DeFi wallet, right? I get my money like in like 5 seconds, whenever I want it, wherever I want it, in whichever part of the world I want it. Right? Today, if my, let's say, it's in the PF, I withdraw, I get it after 1 week. Now I want to travel to the US. If I have to transfer it to some other bank or do a currency exchange, talk about another couple of days plus the fee that I'm going to pay. Right? So how much time is it taking for my money to kind of become usable for me? Let's call it that way. If I was traveling abroad. In the DeFi world, how much time is it going to take for my money to become usable for me? 5 seconds. Because it's there in my wallet. Even if I'm traveling abroad, I don't have to kind of switch banks or anything, or like convert it into some other whatever, right? It's there. It's accessible. Like our US Tether is accessible in India. It's accessible in US, any part of the world. That's the problem. It's kind of becoming like solved, if you say.
Indeed. So building on top of what we discussed right now. So putting an asset class on blockchain. So that increases its liquidity because now it's more usable, right? So we're seeing real estate being tokenized, or hard assets being tokenized, which is removes some very big entry barriers for small investors, and also increases the security of that asset in that particular work. So just a layer of blockchain on top of existing assets that we have. We don't even have to create a new asset class. That increases the value of that underlying asset. So, what are your views on that? And because that, it then becomes a very big opportunity. Just tokenizing existing assets, that becomes like $1 trillion opportunity. What are your views on that?
Absolutely. They're like tokenizing as well as like fractionalizing it. Like, I think that's the point you made, right?
Yes.
Today, I want to buy real estate. Let's say I don't have 5 crores to buy real estate. Okay. But what if some company comes and like kind of fractionalizes it? Right? Then it becomes accessible. Then more and more people would be interested in investing in real estate. Today, how many people are investing in real estate? Let's say, like, I don't have the exact number. Let's say 20% or 30%. I'm just making this up. Don't quote me. Okay. But why is that number less? 2 reasons. One, I see like if people are doing it for investment, what is the amount of returns I'm getting? People kind of compare it. Can I get a higher return somewhere else? And second is the amount that is required to make that sort of an investment. If you like really fractionalize it and you say you don't need 5 crores, you can invest 50,000 as well. Won't that number jump substantially? Of course it will jump, right? And there are some companies which are doing it otherwise. I think Strata is one company, if I'm not wrong. There's a new startup and they are doing something of the likes, but again, like it's in this thing. Now in the Web3 thing also, this becomes very much doable, and the scope has been expanded. Not just real estate, even as art, right? Like MF Hussain painting, let's say, is a synonym for like a prestige, right? If you own an MF Hussain painting, that means you are a part of the elite club, right? What if I tell you that an MF Hussain painting will cost $2 million, but still you can also own one part of it for $2,000 also, right? You would jump and buy it, right? You would be like an art buyer in that kind of a category, right? So all these things really motivate people to invest, right? Many people may be just putting their money in fixed deposits and sitting over it. No, like I don't want to invest here and there. But if I come and tell you that this is a safe investment, you're not going to lose anything, or like, of course, every investment comes with a risk, but this is like, it really gives you an opportunity to diversify your portfolio with a higher investment, with a higher return, right? You would be interested, right? So providing these kind of opportunities really opens up the doors for a lot of people to come in. I'm an art lover, okay? Like I have been a musician myself. So today, if I'm given an opportunity, why wouldn't I invest in art? But so far, I've not been able to do it because it's very expensive. But like some company comes on blockchain and says, hey, you can own some percentage of it, and you can trade it, right? So the more the value increases, the more people come into the ecosystem, the more people want it, the more the value increases. So whether you want to hold it as a memorabilia for yourself or you want to trade it, the opportunities are like, the decision is yours. I would be motivated. And this would be the case with a lot of people. Like today, people don't have many opportunities, let's say. This Web3 ecosystem, the blockchain ecosystem, provides a lot of opportunities, a lot of options for you to choose from. Of course, but DYOR, like do your own research before you do anything.
Right, indeed. So one very key thing that this could end up driving is economic participation.
Absolutely.
And participation on how the platforms are going to shape up your data ownership. So these are the kind of things which are going to become commonplace, and the things that we're struggling with today.
Right,
Indeed.
right.
So,
That's right.
so also in terms of let's say consulting firms, or how are they responding to it? Because they would again have to evolve to fit the new market. And what are the steps being taken?
See, even for consulting firms, this is a new line of business in its own self. All these startups which are coming up in this ecosystem, they need support, right? Whether there's tax and regulatory aspects, whether there are fundraising aspects, where there are strategic, partnerships that they need, business partnerships that they need. They are coming up with a lot of requirements of their own, right? Now funds are being set up who are going to be dedicatedly investing in this space. Okay, so this whole space is new. So everybody needs a partner as a consultant to kind of just like navigate through that space together, right? So it is becoming a separate line of business in its own self, even for consultants. Let's take an example. A startup comes up, they're building infrastructure. It starts with a lot of techies coming together, a couple of techies coming together and building something. Once they have a product, what do they need next? They need a lot of funding, right, to scale, right? Either they do it directly, or that is where another that is one segment where the consultants come in. Like, we are going to help you raise funds. After that, like channelizing those funds, that is where the strategic aspect come into picture, right? You raise $10 million. You are 5 people right now. How are you going to efficiently use those $10 million, right? That is a task in its own self, and the founders usually don't really like to get into something which is non-business. Like, you tell them that you have to spend a month taking care of regulations, taking care of investors, taking care of how to spend money and everything. They'll be like, let me focus on my product, let me grow the product, right? That is where the strategic partnership from consultants come in. Like, we'll take care of how to deploy the funds in the most efficient manner, how to grow the team in the most efficient manner, so that you can take care of the business what you are meant for, right? And with money comes the requirement to comply with regulations, to comply with tax nuances. And the space is new. There's a lot of gray areas in it, right? That is where again the consultants come into picture. Now, when it comes to growing, Every growing startup needs business partnerships. Now you have made an infrastructure, you need big enterprises, or let's say if you're a B2C, you need to reach out to the consumers. What should be your marketing strategy? What is your go-to marketing strategy? What are the right locations that you kind of want to focus on? Right? What are the right side of entities that you need to focus on? That is where the business partnership aspect come into picture. So there's a lot of scope which is there, like, because again, this is a community, everybody has to work together to kind of grow. But as a consultant as well, this opens up a lot of opportunities to kind of work together with these passionate young founders to kind of grow something. And it's really fun, trust me. Like, I've been interacting with a lot of founders in this space, working with them. It's amazing. It's an amazing experience because the kind of passion they bring in and the kind of ideas they have to build something, it'll blow your mind. And that's what, and these are some examples that I gave where the consultants come into picture. These are just like indicative, because the more innovation happens, the more the ideas of how to make that better or how to kind of support that innovation comes into picture. And that is where the consultant comes in, right? Like, how can I support this innovation? How can I support this founder in the most efficient way so that he can fly? Right? That is where the consultant come into picture. So the more innovation we are seeing, the more new infrastructure, new technologies we are seeing, we are also learning, okay, this is a space, this thing can be done in this manner. This is the support we can provide. Hey, you are like coming up with the music NFTs. What if we connect you to, let's say, the likes of big music labels? That is going to boom. That is where we come in. So there are a lot of things that you can really do. But that is also, again, evolving. Is this just indicated? This is just the beginning, like I said. That there'll be much more that can be done.
Indeed. So as you mentioned, the space is new. So it's new for the founder. It's also new for the consulting firms. So how are the consulting firms actually mitigating that? How are they uh, how are they finding their way out in a new space? So I believe a more core assistance that a consulting firm provides is how to navigate the dark rather than how to navigate Web3. So what is happening with that?
So see, that the answer to that question is another question. As in, when you say navigate the dark, first of all, it has every startup, every founder will have a different question mark. Not everybody requires the same, let's say, approach to, or not everybody has the same problem. Let's put it that way. Okay. Now, last week I met a founder. He's created an NFT marketplace and he's like doing a lot of other things there. His problem is nothing to do with funds. He is good to do with funds and everything. He finds the regulations to kind of problematic. Like, he just can't get his head around where to deduct tax, what is the tax, what is taxable, what is not taxable. That is his problem. That is where a consultant comes in and we solve his tax problems. He does not care anything about it. He has his business sorted. He knows his market. He knows his partners. He knows his investors. Everything is taken care of. Right? And he's like, I can handle everything. It's just that this tax is something I'm not able to understand and I'm getting scared because every day there is something new which is coming. Can you take care of that? So we are taking care of the tax for them. Right? Now, there are some founders, they are like, right now we just want to focus on growth. Nothing else. We will see whatever else later. So there we are not going to bother them with, hey, like, get everything in order, A, B, C, D. Of course, that will be there, but that will be the second point we'll kind of try to help them with. The first point that they want to hear is, how do I expand? What all is needed for me to expand? Okay, this is my business model. This is what my ambition is. I want to grow in Latin America. I want to grow in Nigeria. I want to grow in, let's say, in India. Like, how do I do it? What is the best way to do it? So that is the first solution that you would give them. And while you give them the solution, then you like put it under the like softly. Then, okay, hey, if this is how you have to grow, but might as well you have to really take care of the regulations as well. Like, your structure has to be taken care of, and that is when you will be able to scale properly. Like, you don't want like something haunting you back later, right? So with every founder, with every startup, your discussion has to be really different. You need to understand what is the focus point, what is the focus problem they have right now. So that is how it starts. Like, whenever I'm having any interaction with any of the founders, it really starts with, hey, what you are doing, how you are doing it, what do you think you need right now? Right? That is the discussion. I don't go to anybody as a consultant and this is what I can do for you. No, I don't do that. They may be interested, they may not be interested, right? And I go with an assumption that they may not be interested what I'm going to sell them. Right? So it is important to understand what they need, first of all. It is, first of all, important to understand their business. So my first meeting with every founder is like a casual chat, let's say. to understand them, to understand their business, understand where they are, what they need. And then you kind of come up with a solution ki, okay, these are the things that we can solve for you. These are the things you can solve on your own. You don't need anybody. Maybe you just think that you need somebody because you have not done it earlier, but you can really do it by your own self. Why do you want to bother, just getting anybody else in the picture? Just do it yourself. You'll be much more efficient. So that's why it's like a exploring that you really have to do, like any other business, right? Like I don't think an approach will be different in this business, like in any other business. Sure, so a little new because the space is new. You really have to be passionate about the space to have that kind of a conversation with the founders. You can't go and talk about anything, right? You really have to be passionate about the space. You have to know the space. Only then you'll be able to come up with a solution. That's the only thing which is different because it is new. Otherwise it's nothing great.
Indeed. So, you've been interacting with so many of these founders in this space. So, is it geographically, is it Indian founders mainly or from across the world?
No, across the globe, across the globe.
Okay. So, what kind of things do you see, coming up, and where are these founders coming from? What are their vision as an industry? Why are there? Just what is the mood of the industry and the founders today?
Right. So see, there are two baskets that I am at least experiencing. One is people who are following the crowd, right? Everybody's talking about crypto. I want to make a product about crypto. I'll make this. I'll launch my token and I'll be a millionaire. There are many people in that category as well. That is going to die very soon. Okay. The second category is people who have really understood the space. Okay, they have understood, like, okay, this is a booming space. There's a lot of clutter which has started happening now. There's a lot of problems which have started coming, and this is the pinpointed problem that I will solve. The space does not need any other, let's say, a meme coin or a solution to kind of a meme coin. The space needs a platform where you have your coins. You can come off, and let's say invest those coins here, an investment platform, let's say. Right? So there are two sides of examples. One, people who are just creating something because, for example, there's a lot of talk about NFTs. So I meet a lot of people, they are saying we are creating an NFT marketplace. What are you trying to achieve? You can buy and sell NFTs here. But isn't there already so many NFT marketplaces? What is it that new that you are trying to do? No, we will sell unique NFTs. Every NFT is unique. What is it different that you're trying to do? How is it different from, let's say, from the likes of OpenSea or Entrepreneur or anything, right? No answer, right? So many people are doing it just because they want to do it, right? Because there's, let's say, they heard a lot about NFT, so they are making an NFT marketplace. That's not going to stand, right? The second category is like they're actually really solving a problem. For example, the NFT space when it was cluttered, right? What was the need which was felt? This watch example that I gave you, the luxury timepieces, authenticating things digitally, that has not been tokenized so actively. That is where the likes of Origin Foundation are now coming up. They are creating a marketplace where you can do this and like luxury items, which will be like digitally tokenized, and you can sell them, buy them, trade them. It will be a certificate of authenticity, which will be given. If you're buying a Rado watch, imagine you get an NFT of that as well. Or you buy a Rado watch NFT and like you know that this is the underlying watch timepiece that I can claim with it. This is the certificate of authentication I have. Now tomorrow nobody can kind of first copy it, second copy it or something. This is different, right? This is new. Here you're actually solving a problem. So this is where the investments will flow. The second example, this is where the investments will flow. The funds are also very clear now that we want to fund infrastructure. We don't want to fund just a product which is coming for the sake of it. What is the infrastructure which is being developed? That is what is going to attract a lot of attention as we move.
Indeed. So also, as you mentioned, that some of the founders, they actually identify a problem and then they start building around it. So what I have seen is, so there are a lot of technologists in this space, and the solution they try to solve, the solution they try to come up with are purely technological. They are not able to connect it with the consumer in terms of a product. What product the consumer might need, it's not properly studied. Just because something can be done with technology, they're kind of trying to figure it out. And some of the founders are actually taking a top to bottom approach where they identify the problem, the product, and then the technology. So do you see that happening? And is there a gap in the market for that?
See, just like any other market, right? So this market, in this term, what you just mentioned, this market is no different. Okay, every market you will see something or the other. Like, okay, social media is cool. I want to build a social media platform, right? But like, is it different from Facebook and Instagram? How many people are really actually able to differentiate that? Right? So just same is the case in Web3. You will see a lot of people cluttering up the space, not really solving any other problem, but they are passionate about it because they believe that something is happening, right? But like, look at it from a fund perspective, who are going to pay you the money to kind of run it, they may have a different point of view, right? So you really have to, like any other industry, you have that problem here as well, and especially because it is new, right? So because it is new, every time you'll do something, you'll find it, okay, this is different. But then it is different because you're comparing it with the existing, let's say, Web 2 products. Compare it with the Web 3 product. Like, your competition is not anymore what is happening in the Web 2 world. Your competition is which is happening in the Web 3 world. Just because you created a cool social media platform which has, let's say, 3 extra features from Instagram, does not mean it is a unique product. Okay, how do you kind of link it with the whole decentralized space, giving power to the users, and like exceptionally other aspects as well, which compare with the products in the Web3 universe? That is the question you need to answer as a founder, right? So don't look at the competition which is there right now, but look at the competition which is developing in this space. That is a need which is to be addressed, and that is what is now like, this problem is going to stay for a good amount of time, is what I believe, because it is a new space. People are getting excited, a lot of products are being developed, so you will see a lot of clutter as well. But how many will survive are the ones, like, who will survive is the one, like, who really solving like an infrastructure driven problem. Like, this is different from, let's say, if a new blockchain is launched, what is it different that you're doing in this blockchain, right? What is it different that, let's say, an Ethereum, Oasis, Aleph0 or Chainlink is not doing that you are doing, right? What is it that Solana is not doing that you are doing, right? Just because you wanted to launch a blockchain, are you launching it, or you are doing something actually which is completely different from these which are kind of there, right? That becomes a larger question to be answered.
Sure, indeed. So finally, Kapil, we also have students who will be viewing this. So what kind of career opportunities do you see for students, and how they can actually navigate their careers in Web3?
Oh wow, amazing opportunity. Of course, like I said, this is a booming space, right? Just imagine if you were graduating back when, like, Google was starting, or when Facebook was kicking off, and like, you got to work with Facebook as your first job when, like, it shot up, right? We are actually in that space. So if you are a developer, then you are the luckiest one, of course. Like, the blockchain developers are in big demand, of course, like in big demand, like smart contracts, blockchain, that is what is needed. Every company would need it. So there is a huge need there. If you're from the business side, it is very important that you understand the Web3 technology as well, how it works, because as the business guy, you will have to sell that, okay, or have to work with those people. So you can't sell something that you yourself don't understand, right? So I always advise everybody who's getting into it, like, get your skin in the game, put in some money to understand the technologies. Like, imagine, like, this is your coaching fee, right? If you go to a coaching center, you'll pay some fee, right? So that much money you should keep aside to just interact with various platforms in the Web3 ecosystem, interact with a couple of dexes, like decentralized exchanges, interact with some, buy some cryptos, buy some NFTs, transfer it here and there, borrow, lend, just spend some time in it. And whatever, because when you put in your own money, you'll have your skin in the game, you will research a lot, you'll study about it a lot. Even before you send, let's say, $1,000 from one platform to another, and you will see that I'm paying $50 as a fee, you'll really read about it. You'll go to YouTube and check videos around it, that why is this happening, where am I doing it. All that needs to be done, and this is a new space. You have to self-educate yourself. So use YouTube. There are very good channels on YouTube, like Whiteboard Crypto, Bankless, and there are one more too, like I can't recollect exactly, but they give like short explanatory videos. Watch those videos, learn from those videos, learn about new technologies, what is coming, what is not coming, right? What is a metaverse? we see that we bought a virtual land. What does that even mean? Okay, and why is it booming? What is the right kind of metaverse that you want to invest in? Study a lot about it. You are a student, you are young, you have the time. This all this knowledge is definitely needed. Even if you are not stepping into a Web3 company, still you will need this. The reason for that is the companies that you are getting into right now who are not into Web3, sooner or later will have to interact with the Web3 ecosystem, because it is here to stay. They will do something or the other, right? And I always believe that one should know everything, even if not perfectly, but you should know a base at least of everything, so that you can then take a decision. What do I need to kind of understand in detail? Unless you know the base of, let's say, unless you are a jack of everything, you can't decide which, like, of what aspect I want to be the king of, right? So there are huge opportunities in Web3. You just have to keep educating yourself. For developers, though, again, like it's an ocean, right? If you know how to like work on smart contracts and blockchain, you're gonna have your way. Like companies are gonna line up to have you for sure. But if you're on the business side, please keep educating yourself, because there is no school who's gonna teach you all this. You have to really self-educate yourself by involving yourself in the ecosystem.
Sure. Indeed, I do agree with most of the points we discussed today. And thank you, Kapil, very much for coming to the show and for a very informative and very interesting topic.
My pleasure. Absolutely my pleasure. Thank you, Prateek, for having me.